Welcome to Yoga 101, Foundations for Safety. Last time we talked about how to sit. Today we're going to talk about how to stand. Something that we do often in our lives. But do we do it consciously? Are we aware of how we stand? Many of us have tendencies. And in our yoga practice, a stable foundation is essential. I don't know if you've ever been to a class where you're trying to do a balance pose such as tree and you're wobbling all over the place and you don't know what's going on. Chances are you haven't been guided into standing first, which is the foundation for any of the movements that we do with the spine or with balance. So often we stand just the way we stand. We don't really think about it. So mountain pose, Tadasana, is the base of all the standing poses. And we begin with our feet. So look down at your feet. We want our feet about hip width apart. And when I say hip width, I'm talking about your inner hip bones, not your outer hip bones, these bones right here. So about hip width apart, the feet should be parallel, and an approximate distance would be a fist width between the heels, or a little bit wider. Toes are pointing forward. Now lift up your toes and press down through the four corners of the feet. And then lower the toes and bend the knees. And then as you straighten the legs, press down through the soles of the feet as you engage the inner leg muscles and the outer leg muscles. And then notice your knees. Perhaps you even take a look at your knees. We don't want the knees to turn in or to turn out. The knees should be facing forward and stacked above the ankles. And then place your hands on your hips and notice the pelvis. So many of us have a tendency to either press the seat back so we overarch in the back, or we tuck the tailbone under, pressing the hips forward. I would say more of us tuck it forward, and that's just because we're used to sitting and rounding in chairs, so it just naturally goes that way. And then we end up losing the natural curve in our spine. So I'll just turn to the side to show you that. So many of us either tip the pelvis up and back, overarching in the spine, or we tuck the tailbone under, pressing the hips forward. And what we want is a neutral pelvis. So someplace in between those two extremes, which may not feel normal to you at this time, with a natural arch in the spine. So we look for that place in our pelvis, and it will take practice and time and awareness. Now draw your awareness to the front body, and from the navel all the way up through the breastbone. Inhale, lengthen through the front of the body. Draw the shoulders up, back, and down. And then the crown of the head, the top of the head, lifts towards the sky. Now often many of us jut our chin forward, or we tip our chin up. We want to, as I discussed last time, draw the chin in, so the chin is parallel to the earth, the top of the head is towards the sky. And if you have an eye-level gaze, that should help you to work towards this position of the head. And then straighten through the arms, lengthen down through the tips of the fingers, and draw your awareness back to your feet. And notice where the weight is on your feet, and press down once again through the soles of the feet. Engage the inner leg muscles, outer leg muscles. Notice the pelvis. Draw the lower abdomen in, the shoulders back and down, and the head sits between the shoulders. So now we have our joints stacked. The knees above ankles, hips above knees, shoulders above hips, and the head in a neutral position, balanced between the shoulders. So now we are standing, consciously aware, and using the body properly. This is a safe, stable place to move from. This is also a great thing to practice on your own when you're standing in line. First, just notice how you stand. Where is your weight? Where are your feet? your hips, your shoulders, and your head. And then see if you can make these adjustments as you stand there. No one around will probably even notice that you're doing it. As a longtime yoga instructor, one of the major things that I notice in my students over time is their posture. They walk into rooms more confidently, they sit upright. And it's great to see that because our society tends to sit in chairs and round forward all the time. The other benefit to standing tall or sitting tall is that it allows us to breathe. We get space and length in the rib cage, and then we can learn to use our lungs fully, which is important to life, but essential to a yoga practice. Thank you for joining me today. Bring the palms together in front of the heart, the strength of the right side, the love and compassion of the left. And the teacher initiates this at the end of the class as a sign of respect and gratitude towards her students. Namaste.